Here's a clip from the very first video I ever posted on my channel, showing European starlings mobbing the kibbled cat food I'd set out to attract crows. In its earliest days, the rooftop bird feeder saw almost nothing but starlings. I finally started seeing crows when I put out peanuts in the shell instead. Crows easily recognize these as food, and the starlings can't break open the shells. Once the crows had been visiting for a while, I tried adding the kibble back in, knowing how much they like it. That went over pretty well. A little too well, maybe. Most of the visits to the cat food dish were more civilized, though, like this one by an adorable crow couple. But notice the starlings gathering in the background. As soon as the second crow flies off, they descend on the bowl. And they keep coming back, even bringing their babies. Starlings are born hangry and they stay hangry, which is where I got the title for this video. So I tried making it a little harder to get to the kibble. Crows, with their intelligence and relative strength, would be able to get to it, but the starlings would be deterred, at least initially. This strategy culminated in the crowbar, my homemade puzzle feeder. The crows didn't trust it at first, but they soon mastered it. If you haven't already seen my video on the crowbar, check out the link in the upper right. This is my most liked video so far, and it seems to have been very well received. The trouble with the crowbar is, the crows never learned how to put the cloches back on. So when starlings came along, mostly juveniles for some reason, they could feast on whatever the crows had left uneaten. They tried to remove the cloches as well, looking very silly doing so. Whatever they did, they could not seem to manage it, so the crowbar still seemed to be a success. Starlings, being hangry birds, also fight a lot, and that's not very conducive to problem solving. But then, one day... So, my smug sense of accomplishment was dashed as the starling juvenile delinquents started figuring out the tricks. They even started knocking off cloches by accident. Soon, yet another crow feeder was overrun with invasive starlings. I didn't know what to do. But then, as I was woefully reviewing footage like this, I remembered something. Watch how these starlings suddenly become quiet and still. What's going on? Is there a hawk around or something? Look at that. They're starting to leave. Now why would that be? Just like before, the starlings yielded to the crows. Sometimes they stalked the crows at the feeder and waited for them to leave. With a size difference, that makes a certain amount of sense. There seems to be a minimum radius of separation that a starling observes with a crow. But watch what happens when this crow flies off. And that gave me an idea. Meet Stella Starlingbane. Starbane for short. I ordered her from Amazon. Here's the product page. Take a look at these highlights in the product description. Scare other birds. Warn unwanted bird and predator populations away with realistic crow decoys. So, I don't know if a decoy like this would help keep that dang Cooper's hawk at bay, but I thought it was worth a try with the starlings. And check this out. Realistic crows. Make your local murder of crows feel at home with a life-size crow by Navarres. Well, that sold me right there. It would seem that I'm not the only crazy crow lady out there. That's gratifying. Stella Starlingbane actually came in a 2-pack. Crows, after all, mate for life. So we also have, standby Starlingbane, I guess. Let's just call him Stanley. For this experiment, though, I just went with the one decoy. Early on the morning of October 23rd, I set out Starbane for the first time. Here's what happened next. I wasn't quite sure how to interpret that. Whatever the crows are trying to say here, I guess it's not too bad. Ooh, here's a starling. How do you think it's going to react? Okay, well, that's a good start. This crow is flicking its tail a lot. Crows often do this multiple times after landing, but this guy has been on the ground for a while. Is this some sort of reaction to the decoy? Or just the wind? Here comes a second crow. And the tail flicking continues to continue. Unfortunately, I didn't purchase a model of decoy that talks back, but the tail flicking continues. The feeding crow isn't getting close to the decoy, but he is tanking up, so he can't be too uncomfortable. This crow is still keeping his distance, but otherwise, it's pretty much business as usual at the crow bar. Check out the squirrel tiptoeing past the decoy on his way to the off-camera peanut bowl. Here's another starling flying in, the next day. As usual, he waits for the crow to leave, then just stands there. Here's a pair of starlings a little later. I can't believe it. Is the decoy actually going to work? Now, this footage of two juvenile starlings ignoring Stella really disappointed me. However, I'm making this video in late November, and this October 28th footage is the only video I have of the starlings being so reckless. And their friends off to the side think they're crazy, even by starling standards. By Halloween, the crows seemed quite comfortable with Starbane, and they either ignored her or just didn't seem to mind her when they were feeding. They also don't seem to be bothered when Stella looks a little unwell, like here when the wind blew her over. As you may have already noticed, I move Starbane around frequently, once or twice a day at least, to keep her from becoming a fixture for the starlings. Just 8 minutes after that last move, this crow showed up. Here's another encounter with a group of starling juvenile delinquents. The music you hear is me practicing my harp behind the closed office windows. I don't remember what I was trying to play, but for the purposes of this scene, let's just call it the Ballad of Stella Starlingbane. Occasionally, especially during and after rain showers, I would take Starbane inside and let the starlings clean up the waterlogged kibble. Blue jays, who are relatives of the American crow, also enjoy the crowbar. Will they be intimidated by Starbane? I think that's a no, which is fine since all corvids are welcome at all my feeders. Look, here's another juvenile starling. Even after the blue jay flies off, he steers clear of Starbane. So finally, the starlings are vanquished. But I still have one final foe to defeat. This will be my greatest challenge. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button or leave a comment. To see my upcoming battle with the squirrels who infest my roof, hit that subscribe button too. I appreciate you visiting, and as always, thank you for birdwatching.